You are in the Warriors Huddle with me, Bram, with me, per usual, my master of all things video and sound, Maxine.
How's it going?
My boy and producer, MT.
What's up, Dub Nation?
Gentlemen, another special episode. I think I use this phrase too much. I'm going to conclusively answer this question now. My favorite guest on this show, returning after way too long, a noted sports author with bylines at The Ringer, The Herald, Real GM, and Fansided, the former Warriors beat writer for the Bay Area News Group, the current host of the Locked On Heat, Locked On NBA, and the Real GM podcast, and a guy who can hopefully explain to me how the hell the Pacers are currently leading these NBA finals at 2-1, Mr. Wes Goldberg. What's going on, Wes?
What's going on, guys? Excited to talk finals. It's been a way more entertaining series than I think most people anticipated.
I'm surprised by it. In fact, our entire episode is dedicated towards the finals. And to keep that true, let me get this thing out of the way real fast. So we keep tabs on your career. I like the stuff that you read. And I saw an article recently pop up about the Celtics on The Ringer. And good stuff. We don't have to talk about the article itself. Instead, we'll just leave it as a tease. You want to read good stuff, hop on The Ringer. You'll see Wes's work. My focus is more like the social back and forth. So The Ringer, big deal. And Bill Simmons created The Ringer, even bigger of a deal. And he is very publicly and notably a giant Celtics fan. Wes, if I'm fucking you and I'm writing an article about the Celtics for The Ringer, I'm weird about it. I'd put like extra pressure on it. And I don't know, I would just assume that Bill was reading it behind the scenes. Right. So give us the play-by-play here, man. Was it stressful? I mean, how'd this hit you?
So, writer tip, right? If you're feeling really stressed about doing a really good job at something because you're worried about the eyeballs that are going to be on it, just immediately start doing a really shitty job, and then all the pressure goes away. So I just wrote a bad article. Nope, no worries. I don't have to wonder if Bill Simmons is going to like it because I know he won't. Takes the mystery out of it.
That makes me feel like I've been doing professional level quality for like 5 or 6 years now, because each one of our things are just dog shit every time. And I don't worry about the eyeballs at all. So yeah, nicely played. Good advice.
Yeah, you can't actually, I don't know if you want a serious answer, but yeah, you just write it and you just hope that it's okay.
Do you literally, I mean, we won't make it specific to this article. Are you that healthy? Can you decide like, look, I'm just doing my best and I'm not going to be stressed about this?
No, I don't. No, no, I have the anxiety and stuff. But once it's like anything, like you just start working on it, and you're like, okay. And I'm very confident in my writing skills anyway. It's not. It would have. I think it would have been different had it been my first piece on The Ringer.
Yep.
And like, okay, if this really goes south, I might never get a chance to do this again. But this is like my 7th or 8th piece on The Ringer. It was my first non-Miami Heat piece on The Ringer, but. In that case, I figure that if Simmons hates it, he'll just look at my byline and be like, "Oh, this is that Miami guy that we get to do." Or no wonder he hates the Celtics, and then he'll probably even like it more, because that's the thing with Simmons. He got hired by ESPN by making fun of ESPN, so I don't think he would look at something like that and just be like, "I don't like this, and therefore it's bad."
It was not bad. It was good stuff. Let's protect and insulate Wes. Maxime or MT, if you wrote the article, I mean, Bill's got a podcast. He's very out there. Would you have then listened to his content hoping that he brought it up? Or do you not care? You're just like, nah, fuck it. I've done my best. I'm not gonna keep tabs on this.
I would have listened nervously, especially if I'm approaching it like, oh yeah, I'll just write it and whatever happens, happens. So yeah, but out of morbid curiosity, I would have had to listen and see if he brought up my article.
Ben Golliver has this idea that he refers to as player tanking, where a player who is on a bad team plays like shit in the hopes that they get traded to ideally a better team. And obviously The Ringer is not the bottom of the barrel of NBA coverage, quite the opposite. But I can sort of see, Wes, what you're getting at. And I'm not saying that you did this, but it's kind of an interesting move to write such a bad article that you get Simmons' attention. And because you know that he's into that, that then maybe he's actually paying attention to you more. And it turns out that was one in a slew of very good articles. I think there's some sort of writer tanking that could be valuable here.
That was why I got as crazy as possible and recommended that they just trade everybody.
And it's why the article is entitled "Fuck All Celtics Fans," which I thought was aggressive, but I mean, smart.
Especially
Smart.
this one. And then
Yeah,
it makes like that's
exactly
the clickbait
right.
part about it. Wait, which one?
Yeah.
And then
You gave a hint. It rhymes with Lil Mimmons, but I mean, whatever. It could have been anybody.
That's my
To put
rap
a
name.
bow on a question nobody's wondering, would I be crazy about it? Of course. I would have come up with a bunch of fake emails. Like Chris from Boston would have sent an email into the Ringer, like, that's the best article I've ever written or ever read, ever. And I would have apparently telegraphed that it was from a false account. All right, to the finals, boys. So we always do a final show. Most of the time it's done before any games are played. You know, they're kind of predictive shows. Changed it this time. I wanted a few shows to be out there so that we could kind of give an educated opinion, give some weight to some of these answers now that 3 games have been played. And let's start with a familiar place. Wes, I'll throw it to you. Glass half full. Something you like or something you haven't liked about the finals so far?
I'm gonna go positive. These finals have been awesome. I have loved it. And I know that there's a lot of conversation about TV ratings and stuff, and I really don't want to get into it because I think it's I don't even come down on either. I just think it's boring. But I'm glad that it looks like the series is going to go long because a longer series will get more people's attention. Like if there's a game 6 or 7, people are like, oh, you know what? I'll tune in to see how this thing ends a little bit. And if it can get more people's attention, great. I just think the people who are watching it have been treated to such a great series. It's the best series. I was trying to think about this the other day, like most entertaining series since blank. 2022 was good, right? Because didn't Boston go up 2-1?
They did. Yep.
Yeah, and then so that was a good series. 2021 wasn't as good. It was good, but it was like Phoenix was up 2-0, and then Milwaukee came back, so it was sort of good, but not that great. And then other than that, I can't really remember the last finals that went 7 games was 2016, right? So
that's right.
This has the potential to go 7 games, and that's something that we haven't seen in a really long time. So that's my glass half full. Is I just think the basketball fans who wanted a good basketball series are getting good basketball.
Completely agree with that. There was a moment last night where it just kept being compelling television. It just kept sucking me in. It was great basketball, but I'll give you an analogy as opposed to an answer. What this series has reminded me of is an excellent TV movie. You know, it's not shot with the biggest stars. It's not in these like giant locations, you know, shot live in some city that we would love to go visit, but it's been incredibly compelling. The drama's been fantastic and the performances have been good across the board, you know? And so it's not like this marquee matchup that we all would have hoped for, but it's still fantastic television. So, you know, the glass half full, empty, kind of both there.
It's a good analogy. I like that a lot.
I was nervous about it. And I've used it twice today. I've literally practiced it with a couple of people. And the first person I dropped it to gave me just a blank ass stare with no follow-ups. So I was nervous heading into right now. I really appreciate you saying that.
So who does that make? If Tyrese Halliburton was like a TV actor, who would he be? Like what character on a TV movie? I don't know. Now you got me thinking.
Yeah, well, I think we both know that I tried to really develop this analogy, including Googling things like best TV movie, and nothing stuck. There wasn't anything. I was like, oh, I can definitely use this. And so this went from exactly what I wanted to have happen to my nightmare. Follow-up question from you, and I don't have any fucking answers.
I'm going to look up best movies streaming on Netflix right now by Esquire.
Yeah, good luck. Shit, I wish I had done that. Best TV movie was a mistake. MT, save us here. Get him off of this, dude. What's glass half full?
I'm actually glass half empty. It's probably a homer take, so apologies, but I found myself struggling to be interested in the game. Not game 3, like that one was fun to watch, but it just made me appreciate Steph again because I now have been spoiled and I look for the players that can get hot at any moment and just change the game. If it's just a full team going back and forth and it's just a different kind of basketball, probably, you know, basketball that we miss and everybody's criticizing we don't have anymore. But I found myself rooting for Tyrese Halliburton to get on a hot streak and continue to go to the hole in random ways and fall over and still make the basket. And it was, you know, it was weird because I'm not a huge Halliburton fan, but I found myself equating him to like he's the Steph of the finals for me, where if he's hot and he gets it going, then it's fun basketball to watch. Otherwise, you're just watching a defensive slugfest and wondering if the refs are going to swallow their whistle. So it's I'm one of those fans that I'm not as interested in it because of that lack of true star power that can take over a game. And just Shea Gilgeous-Alexander doesn't do it for me, even though he's got that talent. So I'm half full. I'm looking for ways to watch the game. If I watch it, it's not appointment television for me. It's like, oh, that's right, the game's tonight. I'll watch it if I'm not busy.
Halliburton gave you a little something last night with a Steph impression. He shot a three and then started running back before it went in. And I immediately thought to the Olympics and what I would imagine was a very influential summer for Tyrese. Maxime, close us out here.
Yeah, I can't believe we're bearing the lead. Can we talk about how there are no decals on the court? This is the most important story that we've had right now, and I'm just kidding. I could not really care less about that. I thought it was interesting that Silver came out and was like, they haven't been on there for a decade. What do you fucking want from me? And it sort of feels like people drumming up intrigue because they haven't paid enough attention to either one of these teams long enough to be able to say anything substantive the way they would if they were bigger market teams in the finals. My favorite moment. Look, I bet somebody after game one that OKC was going to win in 5. So I've lost that bet. But in my heart, I want the Pacers to win. So I'm kind of damned if I do, damned if I don't at this point, because either way, it's fucked, at least watching game 3 last night. But my favorite moment was, I don't know, right at the end of the game, right? OKC was down 8. It was clear they weren't going to win. And there was like a dead ball at some point, and you could see both Chet Holmgren and Alex Caruso just fucking gassed, right? And like the Pacers have been pushing full court pressure on them this entire time, but we're hearing about how this is a really young Thunder team, and people are starting to already have conversations about dynasties, not 3, not 4 titles, right? Doing the whole LeBron Heatles thing, and I just really love that Rick Carlisle and the Indiana Pacers have figured out a way to really undermine what was one of the main talking points going into the series. Like, this is this young team. They're so talented. There's no way to actually beat them. And here we are. We have the guy who is supposed to be the defensive juggernaut alongside the guy that's supposed to be sort of the, unicorn, right? Center, power forward kind of guy that can make it happen for them on both ends of the floor, both not able to hang when push came to shove. So it's just so fun to watch these storylines disintegrate, because what emerges is something unexpected. And the way that the Pacers are winning game 1 with only 0.3 seconds left the first time they lead is exactly the type of storyline that makes me excited, because it's why everybody roots for the underdog in general, right? It's the unexpected. You want to see the unexpected happen, and it's happening all over the place all the time.
Wes, talk to Marcus directly. All right. So this is going to be a question for all of us. Instead, I'm going to put it just to you. We call it the elevator pitch. If you're going to talk to somebody who's not interested in this fucking series, but you got about an elevator ride to talk them into it, what would you say? If MT is not interested, why should he be?
Would you have been interested if I told you this was the first championship Kobe Bryant won?
Oh.
Because if the Thunder go on, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander literally has had a better scoring season than Kobe has ever had this year. And that's the sort of trajectory he's on. So if I could take you back in time and say, wouldn't it be cool to kind of be in the moment and rewatch Kobe's first before you knew he was going to be Kobe Bryant? That's sort of where we're seeing. Like, this is origin stories. This is before, and it's really easy to get into the origin story after the fact, but it's really cool to be part of it. Like, for instance, talking to Warriors fans, really cool to have watched the 2015 championship before everybody else hopped on the bandwagon 2 years later, and to experience that and to be in it. The only reason anybody watched the 2015 finals is for LeBron. Nobody outside of the Bay Area and hardcore basketball fans gave a shit about that Warriors team. It wasn't a small market because it's the Bay Area, but it was a little known team at the time. And then they blossomed and became the thing that they ultimately became. Obviously, we don't know if the Thunder or the Pacers are going to turn into a dynasty, but the Pacers have been to 2 Eastern Conference Finals and 1 NBA Finals in the last 2 years. That team's awesome. The Thunder could still very much win this series, right? This is a toss-up series. They can go on and win. I think I'm still picking the Thunder to win this series. But if they go ahead and win it, it'll be the moment where they overcame the adversity and turned into a potential dynasty here. So that's the sales pitch. It's the ultimate origin story. It's Uncle Ben. That's what this is.
With great power comes great responsibility. I'll take that a step further, MT, and make it personal to us as Warrior fans. Here's what I'm terrified of. I mean, the most optimistic of optimistic Warrior fans will tell you our championship window is what, 2 years, right? I mean, that's where Steph and everybody's contract comes up. So it's
Going
these next 2
forward?
years. Going forward, exactly right.
2 years
Going for, I mean, all of
Jesus.
these contracts right
As
now,
in next year and the year after.
this next year and the year after.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, all of our contracts are probably going to come up in those next 2 years. I will say that if OKC wins right now, they come pretty close to slamming that fucking window closed. You know, like if they suddenly take this next leap, if they are like the Dynastic Warriors in 2014, 2015, and then I kind of realize their strength and everything this year, it's going to be real hard getting past them the next two. So I would prefer them continue not to believe in themselves, you know, to kind of have this like grain of doubt back there. And the best way to do that is for these guys to lose to the Pacers.
Or they could lose to the Pacers and then trade for Kevin Durant.
We'll jump off that bridge when we come to it, Wes. For right now, I'm just trying to talk MT into this finals.
For Wes's point of the origin story, I still am not buying it, and only because like the games are so different between Kobe and Shea. Like Kobe would dunk on you, he'd do these crazy shots that you couldn't believe somebody could hit, and it was things that you're like, oh man, that's impressive and that's exciting to watch. I don't get thrilled and have fun watching mid-range games and, you know, like foul hunting and hooking somebody's arm and falling to the ground and shooting free throws 12 times a game. So to me, how exciting the game is of the player factors into it. And Kobe played a brand of basketball that was more exciting to watch than how Shea
Did you like watching Steve Nash? Did you enjoy Nash?
Yeah, because it didn't make sense for him to be doing that on the court, just like it doesn't for Steph. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is 6'7". Him going.
Well, I was talking about Halliburton
and
because
Halliburton
plays a lot like Steve Nash, and maybe that's your star of choice in this series instead of SGA.
He's got a weird shot, and you know, like everybody thinks he's overrated, you know, and like.
I mean, overrate that. Here's where I'll step in. This entire podcast won't be just convincing Marcus, but I definitely appreciate the attempts to push him there. Here's my only follow-up on the SGA thing. I don't think I've ever heard the word merchant used in a sentence outside of free throw merchant. And I understand what it means. I know that it's a part of the English language, but does anyone say like, I'm going to the merchant today? Like the idea that came out, that's the thing, you know, like, oh, where'd you buy that? Oh, I bought it from the hat merchant. Like, that's not a thing that anybody fucking says.
But we should start that, right? That sounds awesome.
Exactly.
What? Say that again. What sounds awesome?
We should start doing that. We should start saying merchant. Yeah,
100%. We're actually changing.
I went to the sandwich merchant and got a turkey club
on toasted bread. To our next question, the most important. Wes, which slogan is worse? Yes, sirs. YES apostrophe CERS or Loud City?
Oh, yes, sirs. Loud City. They've committed to for years, so it's not great. But at least there's a commitment level that I can respect. Yesers is so bad.
Is it the worst? I mean, let's take the next. I totally agree. Here's the next question.
The Cavaliers.
Is it the worst one ever?
Cavaliers had something. What did the Cavaliers have in the second round? I'm doing a lot of Googling here. The Cavs
when
had
I saw the
really
Yesers
bad.
thing, as you look that up, when I saw the Yesers on shirts yesterday, I was like, there can't be. There's no way that's their slogan. Somebody got paid an ass ton of money to come up with that, and I feel like, I mean, top 5 worst slogans of all time.
It's pretty bad. Oh wait, yeah, here it is. Diff.
Oh, that's right. Do you know why they did that?
No.
This is the most insane shit. No. My understanding is that the reason this happened is because on Cavs either broadcasts, like the local broadcasts, or in the arena, in addition to the score for each team, they provide a diff stat, which is the difference between the two scores for people that can't do basic subtraction. And they're clearly so proud of it that that's their
If the
brand.
score is 20-16, they go diff 4.
They give you diff 4. Yeah, baby.
Cleveland.
And they're like,
LeBron left. Jesus.
we are so incredible at this. We need to make it our slogan. Like that's a thing that everybody needs to know about immediately.
One I hate real quick is the Denver Nuggets using "We Believe" this last playoffs. Like,
Oh, boo.
how can you use "We Believe"? That should be illegal.
It's like the Warriors come out next year. They go, just do it. Like, fuck it. We just start recycling as many like very
just
well-known slogans as we possibly can. To another question to keep us moving quickly here, and a real one. Look at these last 3 games. Wes, who are the top 5 players in this series so far?
SGA, Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren.
I have that exact same 4, but my 5th is Mathurin or TJ McConnell. Am I being crazy to do that? Because I feel like Chet Holmgren's actually been really disappointing.
It's a little recency bias, but I'll give it to you. I feel really good about that top 4. I did waver a little bit on the 5th one between Chet and Aaron Nesmith. But if you want to go Mathurin and McConnell, like it's recency bias, but we've also only played 3 games, and they had such important impacts on that 3rd game that one great game can get you on this list.
Maxime, there's a rule in the universe that says if the Warriors Huddle records a podcast, they have to use the name Jonathan Kuminga. So I'm going to abide by that rule right now. If the Pacers called you right now and offered you Benedict Mathurin for JK, would you say yes?
You know what? That's actually a very interesting. I was listening to, I think, Zach Lowe talk just today about how Mathurin kind of plays the role. He compared him to Wiggins in that he can be sort of this like wild card, like we have this amazing, flowing offense, and every once in a while you just got to get a fucking bucket. And like Kuminga is supposed to be that guy, but as I've said before, he plays so far outside of our system that it's not working. Yeah, I think I would make that move because it seems as though there is something happening whereby he can coexist within a motion offense like the Pacers have, but then also go get a bucket when absolutely necessary. So I would take a flyer as opposed to what we're dealing with right now with JK.
Bram, I'm so glad you brought that up because I literally had this thought while watching Game 3 was because Mathurin and Kuminga are so similar in that they both can't shoot and they both foul a lot and their defense comes and goes, but they're so crazy physical and talented. And I was like, Mathurin has officially surpassed Kuminga during these playoffs in terms of whatever kind of value we're talking about. I literally had that thought.
Yeah, I unfortunately thought the same thing. I mean, by the time he was at 25 on like 9 of 11 shooting, what he was all the things we wanted Kuminga to be. He wasn't forcing 3-pointers. He was rebounding fairly well. He was going to the hoop with force, but not outside of the offense. It's all of these things that we've kind of been waiting to see from Jonathan. And then I thought, well, you know what? JK just didn't get a chance to do it on a big stage. And then I remembered, nope, bullshit. He was there in 22. He has unfortunately had that chance and was just in the most recent playoffs. So yeah.
Huge stage in these most recent playoffs, right?
Yeah,
like big opportunity there.
Unfortunately so. I've sped past the question, but give me your top 5, MT, the players so far.
I think 2 from OKC are SGA and Jalen Williams. And then I think the Pacers get 3, Tyrese. And then I'm going to go Nesmith and Siakam and Miles Turner. I think Miles Turner is underrated for how much he impacts the game, even if he's not having a big game and hitting random threes from the corner that are timely or top of the key. I just think his presence is a big reason why the Pacers are so successful.
One of the subplots for this finals has been, why didn't we trade for that guy? And Miles Turner is 100% one of those. When he was blocking Chet Holmgren's 3 in the 4th quarter, it's like, oh my God, could we use that? Another guy like that? Siakam. Just widely available before he left Toronto, and we decided not to pull that. Or even fucking Halliburton. We've talked about that too with the number 2 pick, and then very obviously available in Sacramento. Like there's been all of these dudes who maybe they could have made a move for, and we would be in a totally different place. To the question I'm nervous about. In fact, Wes, I'm going to protect myself. So I was going to ask you to put Steph on that hierarchy. If he was playing in this series, where do you think he'd be in the top 5? I don't want to hear your answer to that because it might upset me. Instead, I'm going to give you a different name, Jimmy Butler. if Jimmy was playing in this series and to the best of his ability, assume that he is playing, to whatever you think he's capable of playing, where do you think he would land on that top 5 you just gave us?
Yeah, somewhere between 8 and 9, probably.
Wow.
Heavy boo sound here. Give him, just real like Princess Bride boo right now. I'd say second, maybe third. I don't know. I would put Steph number 1. That is optimistic and homerism. But I'd say maybe 2, maybe behind SGA.
Yeah.
But I think that Steph has shown that he is still, big boy elite.
I'd go Steph
Jimmy's season concerned me a little bit. I definitely put him behind SGA. I think I have to put him behind Halliburton. The question is, where does he go with like Siakam, Jalen Williams? I'm hoping that they're right around in that same category, but I'm not positive about that.
He's not making the top 5.
Yeah. I think he's the same impact as Siakam if he's peak Jimmy Butler and not hurt.
I think that might have been the case a couple years ago, but look, Siakam, in addition to just padding the box score, it's not actually just box score padding, right? Like he's super impactful. It's all the little stuff. Like I feel like you feel his presence, or rather you feel his absence when he's not there. It's clear that he's such a huge part of what's going on. And evidently that's what we were hoping Jimmy would be for our squad. But I don't feel him. I didn't feel him in the playoffs the way I wanted to, and the way that I felt like we saw him when, for example, he took the 8th seed in Miami Heat to the finals.
If Steph is playing, then I think that makes it easier for Jimmy to make an impact like we saw in the playoffs. If I'm being serious, it's probably right around that Jalen Williams area. Because Jalen Williams is sort of like on and off. One night you get a really great Jalen Williams game. Another night you kind of I kind of wish I had more from him. That's probably where Jimmy is, which is in the top 5.
Most disappointing player so far.
Oh.
J-Dub for me. I
think
Chet. You could say Chet too. Yeah.
One
of those.
Chet he started
really
off
in game 2.
That's exactly he like you could tell in that game 2 he came in with the like, nope, this is not happening again. I'm going to make an impact, especially in the first quarter, and then he disappeared. In that game 3, he started feeling himself in the wrong direction. I felt you could see his confidence going kind of down the shitter a little bit. So he's my nominee.
I don't know that I've been that disappointed. Kaysen Wallace has been bad, but he's 21 years old.
Right.
So I'm not sure what I expected, but he is starting. You know what? I'll go Lou Dort. I haven't felt Lou Dort's presence in this series. I would have voted him Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And he has not played. He's been fine. He has not been that level defensively to me in this series yet.
Best home court advantage so far. I heard somebody describe these 2 home courts as the best fans in the NBA. Mm-hmm. 1, would you guys agree with that? And 2, who's been better?
I hate the best fan, worst fan argument because it's really easy to be a really great fan when your team is awesome and in the finals. But that said, the Oklahoma City fans and the Indiana fans have always been very loyal basketball fans. Indiana is a legendary basketball town. Oklahoma City has one professional team. It's this one. They love their teams. The best home court advantage has to be the Pacers. They're 1-0. The Thunder are 1-1.
I agree. I'll go more subjective. You're objectively, obviously, fucking correct there. They remind me of their teams. I'm like OKC feels like they know they're better, but they're also a little bit nervous. Anytime the game kind of gets close, you can see the players get a little nervous. You can see the same shit in the fan base. They like in that, even in game 2, certainly in game 1, the Pacers start making a comeback and the collective asshole of OKC's fan base tightened up. Indiana's fan base strikes me as nothing to lose. They're just out there like cheering their balls off. And because of that, they have the bigger home court advantage. I'll use this as an excuse to drop a little Warrior thing in here. I went to a Valkyrie game, boys. My first WNBA game ever, also first Valkyrie game. My takeaway was the relationship between Valkyrie fans and the Valkyries is completely different than Chase Center's relationship with the Warriors. We won't go too deep into it now, a podcast for a different time, but I'll give you this. And I've said this before. Warrior fans go to those games now to root for a win, not to root for the Warriors, not to watch basketball. They are there to root for a win. And if it's not happening, they kind of tune out. The Valkyrie fans are there just to root for the Valkyries. That's it. They don't, if they're winning, losing, doesn't matter. It almost reminded me of what I would imagine a minor league baseball game is. You know, like you're just there to like hell of enjoy it and just fire off as much passion as you can. I saw people in like big masks and giant kind of costumes that they were going just to show they had an affiliation with the team. And that's something that we have lost in Chase Center. But back to the finals. Do you guys agree?
I have one couple follow-ups on that.
Please.
Number one, I have been to a minor league baseball game, but I didn't go for passion. I went for dollar hot dogs. Number two, one of my favorite things is to watch games on TV and see how much the fans actually look like the place that they're from. You know what I mean? Like number one is any Denver Nuggets game. Everybody looks like they just came from a hike at a Denver Nuggets game. Just 100%. The Pacers fans are really interesting to me too because they kept panning to TJ McConnell's dad in the crowd, and I'm like, are we sure that's TJ McConnell's dad? Because it feels like everybody in Indiana looks like that guy. That's it. That's my thing. Also, is Tyrese Halliburton and Andrew Garfield in your TV movie analogy?
You bastard. You know I'm trying to run away from that, and I didn't have a response, so I'm going to pretend like you didn't say that at all. Okay. But I do think that is the right answer, unfortunately enough. Nicely played.
Before I drop, just want to add one thing. What I like about the Indiana Pacers fan base is the former players that come back. It gives you a little bit more feeling like they're a legacy, like team. Even though it's not huge names outside, you have Reggie Miller and then you're like, oh, and Rick Smits and Antonio, like it falls off pretty quickly. But just seeing the former players come back there and it reminds you of it. And there's something to that feels like, oh, this is a franchise, and Oklahoma City doesn't quite have that. They left from Seattle and then all their main players are either still playing in the league or not going to those games. So I think that adds to the lore a little bit and gives Indiana's fan base that little bit of nudge over the top of the OKC fan base.
How do you feel about them wearing their own jerseys? Reggie had a Reggie Miller jersey on yesterday. On a shirt. He wasn't just in a jersey, but it was his own jersey. What do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down on that practice?
Thumbs down.
Yeah, thumbs down on your own.
Wear the Halliburton jersey or be cool and like put a Siakam jersey on or something. But, like, come on, dude.
Here's a vulnerable story for me for no reason. Going way back to high school, I'm playing for Skyline. I'm going to a Warriors game, and I decide to wear the jersey because I was hell of proud just to show people like I play for this team. And as I'm walking around, I hear people behind me going, "There's no way that skinny ass white boy plays for Skyline." And I immediately wanted to take off the fucking jersey. Like I wanted to borrow a sweatshirt. Like I remember going from, I couldn't be more proud to be like, oh my God, like this is not going the way I want. So not a super success for me, unfortunately enough.
At least you had the jersey. Respect.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I still own it. Next podcast, I'll wear it for sure. Wes, best coach.
Oh, Rick Carlisle. No question.
Why?
I thought Dagnall got too cute with the starting lineup change going into game one, and ever since then, it feels like he's been chasing his lineups. And Carlisle's just been in total control this series. Like, even if I think the world of Dagnall, I think he's an awesome coach. Carlisle's better, man. Like he's pushed every right button in the playoffs, let alone in these finals so far.
I remember we're going back to 06, 07, whenever that We Believe season was. And so Warriors are getting ready to play Dallas, and the papers are all talking about, hey, Don Nelson used to coach this team, so he might have some secrets, the blueprints to take him down. And when Dallas announced that they were changing their starting lineup before that series tipped, I remember thinking, ooh, we're kind of in their head already. And that's, obviously we know how history played that out. And same thing here. When OKC decided to sit Hartenstein, despite being they're on a fucking heater of a season, like a historically good season, that they would make that adjustment before a second was played. It was a mistake that they blinked
put
first.
Him in a weird place where it became immediately clear that it was a mistake because the first play of the finals, the Pacers were like, "Oh, cool," and then got Siakam posted up against Case and Wallace, and he scored, and like, "Oh shit!" Like this is gonna be, like they were like, "This didn't work the way we thought," and you can't, if you're Dagnall, immediately go into game two I saw this all the time, like, oh, he's got to go back to the original starting lineup. I'm like, you cannot do that to that locker room. That shows way too much weakness and a lack of confidence in your decision. You guys say, hey, we were up 15 in the fourth quarter, and we should have won that game. But it's clear, like, it hasn't really worked, and he hasn't. Not even that the starting lineup hasn't worked, but it's sort of mixed up the rest of his rotations. Like, there were AJ Mitchell minutes in the finals game in the first one, and then ever since then, it's like, well, why is Cason Wallace playing like 30 minutes a night now? Like, he's a good player. He shouldn't be. He's 21 years old. Shouldn't be playing like that in the finals. So it kind of just screwed up the rest of his rotations, and it didn't feel like he had a plan for it. Where Carlisle's just been like sticking, obviously, with one of the best starting fives in basketball, and he's like, yeah. Not the Thomas Bryant series. He had 3 minutes in game 3.
Yeah,
and he was able to lean into a Siakam, Obi Toppin front court. He was able to adjust on top of what has already been established. Where again, Dagnall just feels like he's chasing constantly.
And Carlisle looks almost exactly like Jim Carrey,
Correct.
which I think is a benefit to him. I'm not sure how it helps him, but I do feel like there's some strategic advantage to that specific. Maxime, predict us out. So we are a day before game 4. Indiana is up 2-1. What happens? How does this series end?
Yeah, I'm not changing my prediction from the beginning of the series. I said, that one team was going to win 4-1, and I'm sticking with it. I'm just kidding. The Pacers are not going to win the next 3, or the next 2.
Let's check the diff on that really quick.
Yeah. No, it's actually right before I give you my actual thoughts. As sort of a ramp up to that, it is really interesting how different the whole narrative would be if the Pacers didn't lead for the last 0.3 seconds of game 1. It would shift from, whoa, Mark Dagnall's on his heels to, oh, he's a total genius, right? Like, he did this change not because he was scared, but because he knew that we needed to contain Halliburton, and this is actually a better lineup for that, and like, whoa, he's miles ahead, right? It's all this brilliant stuff. But it's amazing how much that blink first, or like in a negotiation, if you're going to get a raise, like, you want the person that you're asking the raise for to give the number first, right? And then you're countering. It's just like, it's classic. It's, however you want to put it, that was not the right call. And it's a fascinating thing. It still does not, because I think you also sort of see it in the way these players feel a little bit like they got punched in the mouth and haven't quite punched back yet on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Chet does seem a little bit lost. I think a lot of these guys, Mark Dagnall included, went into the series being like, we got this, right? Like, let's actually talk about the next season already, right? Let's pull a Mike Malone and start being like, well, I don't know, dynasty, with the Denver Nuggets, and then look, they only win 1, right? That I think there was an expectation that they were going to roll. Not just from the media, but from the players themselves. And when that didn't happen, we're starting to see a little bit of a scramble. But like you pointed out, in 2022, the Warriors were down 2-1. But I think more importantly, in 2015, it was the same thing, right? And the Warriors ended up obviously coming back and winning that series. I think the same thing here. I'm a little bit scared now to say Oklahoma City in 6, but I think that's where we're headed still.
We'll ramp up to you, Wes. If I was going to the bet merchant and was going to put something down that meant something to me, I think whoever wins this next game wins the series. I genuinely believe that. And I think that OKC does pull it out. And I'm being kind of a talent whore here. I think that OKC has better players, and it's just their mentality that's holding them back. They don't totally believe in themselves. So I think they pull out a win in Indiana game 4. It switches it out, and they end up pulling this out in 6. I think they win the remainders.
I love this Pacers team. I've picked them in every series they've played, except going into the finals. And I had Thunder in 5 going into the finals. I felt pretty good about it, but I also, in my prediction, thought every game was going to be really tight. I thought this was going to be a real tooth and nail fight, but I thought the Thunder had the better shot makers to do stuff in the fourth quarter. I just trusted their defense more. I'm going to still go Thunder in 6, and honestly, I hope I'm wrong. I love this Pacers team. Yeah.
And they're fun. They're fun. I mean, they are a fun team. What are we learning, boys? So if the NBA is a copycat league, the Warriors win it. Let me back that up even further. The Heat win it. It's superstar teams. You need a big 3, and we do that for a while. The Warriors win it. They win it on shooting. And so, man, that's what you need. Everybody's doing that. If one of these teams win it, what's the new thing? What will the NBA be copying?
It's a great question, and I think the first thing that jumps to mind is defense. I think the Thunder are obviously an incredible defense. I've called them the best defense I've ever seen, and I feel really good about that. But the Pacers have even gotten a lot better defensively through the course of these playoffs. Like Halliburton is not even a negative defensively at this point. They're and you got Neesmith and Nembhard and Turner and Siakam. Like this team is awesome defensively. But both of these defenses are different in some ways. But the one area that they're very similar is ball pressure and just how much they're willing to pressure the ball and how much they value the possession battle. Both of these teams turn over teams a lot, and that's the big thing with Oklahoma City. The Pacers also create a lot of turnovers and have all season long. Not as much as Oklahoma City, but they have all season long. Both teams also respect possessions a lot and take care of the ball, and that's the other part of the turnover margin, right? Like you can create a lot of turnovers, but then you can also turn it over more, and then you don't have any advantage. Both of these teams are elite at taking care of the ball and then forcing turnovers. And I think that's the thing that more than anything is going to come out of this finals is the possession battle has never been more important, but it's how you establish a win in the possession battle that's really interesting. It used to be that argument of, do we crash the glass and try to create extra possessions with offensive rebounds, or do we get back in transition defense? And that used to be the push and the pull of it. Now I think people are going to realize, well, especially in this league, since the Warriors, right? Everybody can shoot now. If you're a bad shooter, you don't get to play in the NBA anymore. Like that's just or you have very limited minutes. Okay, well if everybody can shoot, well then the efficiency of every possession goes up, and you've seen that with offensive ratings over the league, which means that the possession battle becomes even more important. Right. Because if everybody can shoot, well then we can't even let them get a freaking shot off anymore. And the easiest way to make sure that they don't get a shot off is to steal the ball, take the ball away. And I think you saw both Oklahoma City and Indiana be ahead of their time in regards to that. So I think that's the thing that teams are going to take away is we got to win the possession battle, and we got to do it where the other team doesn't even get a chance to take a shot. We got to take that ball away before they get a shot.
That's a great answer. I'll add another D, depth. You know, we like for the Warriors, we went through all of last year and we kept saying, you know, we need a second guy for sure. What we're seeing in these finals, at least for these two teams, is not the second guy. It's like 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, like all these other guys. We've seen Aaron Wiggins make a giant difference. We've seen Turner. We've seen Mathurin. We've seen TJ McConnell. There was a period in last night's game where Halliburton, who is the breakout absolute star for these playoffs, no question, earned himself a nickname, apparently, the moment, where that guy was on the bench, understandably, for TJ McConnell. Because TJ was playing so fucking well that they decided, well, let him cook. Have shots of maybe his dad or some random Indiana fan. Who the fuck knows? But what we're seeing is depth. And so it might be better. Don't look for the next 30 million player. Look for the next 3 $10 million players, because that's what's going to take you across the finish line.
Yeah, and you add to that, you look at the most recent coach firing in Tibbs. A lot of the argument is, right, he played his guys too much, but that made him inflexible to play guys farther down the bench as you get later into the season. So it's obviously important that the teams need prioritize actually using their depth throughout the season. You guys, especially Wes, both of you laid out a bunch of really important things. So rather than, I'll just point out it sort of in a different direction. First of all, you can't copy the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? They're going to be like, all right, who's the next Sam Presti, really? Because they're so far ahead of the second apron era. And what the flexibility that the Oklahoma City Thunder has is unbelievable, that it's sort of like I'm going to be depressed like I would imagine every other fan base was starting in 2017 when the Warriors had KD. It was like, well, fuck it. Let's talk about teams 2 through 30 because we already know who's winning the title. It does feel a little bit inevitable. Now, if Oklahoma City loses, then you start having a different conversation, right? Because Indiana never actually tanked out. They're a team that was like middle of the road. If they come up, I think the biggest learning that people are going to copycat is, hey, can we have our best player go sit on the bench for the Olympics? Because clearly that's the secret sauce that's getting these guys over the hill or something. It's obviously it's also
Boston fans.
I was just, God damn it, Wes, you beat me to that joke. I was so excited to make that joke too. Nicely played, you bastard. That should have been like a Jeopardy.
It's better coming from me, though. You got to admit that's better coming from me. It's
100%.
There's more spite and hatred and
somewhere Bill Simmons
venom.
is nodding his head. Once again, Wes has nailed my team again, is what he's thinking for sure.
It's also like Rick Carlisle doing just the right amount of adjusting and not overdoing it is a really awesome thing. And then the last sort of point that I'll make, I think more than you're seeing this from Oklahoma City, but it's sort of an evolution on the defensive side. Some version of like 5-out defense, where the way that Oklahoma City is playing is like this like swarming, mob, right? Where it's like not even zone or man to man. They just cover and recover so fast. That like I've never really seen somebody do it like that before. You more have like Draymond quarterbacking a defense and telling people where to go, but this is much more like Ender's Game with the aliens that all know, right? They're just like in formation moving around, than it is like any one guy masterminding it. And it's really fun to watch, Wes, to your point, like the best defense you've ever seen. It's not something that is usually glorified like this, and I'm actually enjoying just casually watching this swarming defense go on, and that's a real testament to their skill.
It's a great reference, not a movie. I mean, well, that's actually not true. It was a movie, but not a TV movie. And I imagine you're referring to the book. So almost on all fours, but close. Wes, I got like 100 more questions, but also it is late as fuck on the East Coast. And so I think I've pulled you out of your life for long enough. I know that there's a lot of people who would like me to ask you those questions and get far more Goldberg in their life. For those people, instead of us bothering you past 8, where can they go?
You have one more really good question that you got to ask me.
Fuck yes, I do. Let's go.
All right, give me one more.
So, okay, come on. There recently was a video of DeMarcus Cousins losing his mind. I believe it was in Cuba. I'm not positive. I know it's not in the NBA. DeMarcus is in another league. And in fact, I saw this rolled out in 2 different videos. The first video I saw was him being held, Malice in the Palace style. He's in the apparently in the tunnel between the court and here we go. Here's the video now. For those who are watching only on YouTube, there's a video of DeMarcus desperately trying to get out of the tunnel, and then they back it up. You can start it right here, Maxime. So what we are watching is DeMarcus Cousins in a game, I think in Cuba. He gets into it with someone in the front row. The person in the front row gives him the double bird. DeMarcus grabs his balls, gives that guy the double bird back right into his face. And then apparently things get ugly. We don't see the in-between, but it shows DeMarcus being held back as people are just pouring beer and shit all over him when he's trying to go back first into the locker room and then try to get his pass back onto the court to fight people. And so here's DeMarcus challenging, I don't know, 15 to 20,000 people all at the same time. And there's where the beer and shit starts to get thrown at him. So Wes, here's my question for you. This isn't it. Nothing happened in this interaction that would have justified DeMarcus getting back out on that floor and actually boxing that guy. And I can tell you, like, there's never going to be a time where it's okay for one person to fight 15,000. It's not going to happen, right? So my question is a little bit different. Is there anything a single fan can do in your mind that would justify the league or the player being like, all right, you know what? You've now opened yourself up to a sanctioned fight. Not like here on the court, like a fist fight. But if the fan does this, they now have to go and spend 3 minutes in the ring with the player. Like some kind of thing, some kind of published standards where if you've gone too far, dude, this is what's up. The player is now allowed to invoke the we get to fucking fight rule.
I don't know where the league would stand on this, but if I were in charge, this would do it for me. That one fan that was courtside or close to courtside and stepped at Cousins with the double bird. Look, I don't know what was said or who initiated this thing or not, but like, dude, that's a fight everywhere else on the planet except for a basketball court. Like, I'm getting so annoyed with some of these fans who think that just because they paid for a ticket, they could just say whatever they want to a grown man. Like, say that to DeMarcus Cousins at a bar. I dare you.
You wouldn't.
I dare you.
No, you wouldn't. Nobody
would. The cojones on some of these people, it just drives me crazy. Like, what these people think that they can get away with, frankly, they deserve a little bit of a beating. And if it's from DeMarcus Cousins, great.
I probably shouldn't say this into this microphone, and it's not my take. I'm stealing it from Reddit. And if it was in Cuba, I'm still not sure. But somebody from Reddit hypothesized that if you're sitting in the front row at a game in Cuba and you have that kind of confidence, that there might be some cartel connections. And if I'm fucking DeMarcus Cousins and like I read that, do you know how goddamn terrified I would be right now? That like, who did I just fuck with the wrong dude? Like, who is that guy and why did he fire off the double bird? Back to this. It's got to be more than the double bird standard. I don't think it would.
No, it's the step also. It's the step 2. The
so
step
what
2
you're
plus
saying
double
is,
bird.
if it's something to justify a fight in real life, it should justify a fight in the NBA, or is it a little bit more heightened?
I got to be very clear and careful about this. There should never be fighting in the NBA. Players should never fight fans. But yes, if that's happening outside the basketball court, that guy's getting his butt whooped. It's just happening. Like these people are just as guilty as the players. Don't do this.
I like the idea of you haven't stepped out of reality when you buy a ticket. You haven't suddenly insulated yourself from anything the hell it is that you want to do because you've spent $100 like that. You're not suddenly allowed to be a gigantic asshole. So I like that side of it.
You are allowed to trash talk. I think that's totally healthy. You bought a courtside ticket. The player can hear you. Talk trash all you want. Talk trash all you want, especially with the visiting team. That's all in good fun, man. Like Michael Jordan talks about how his stories about this. I was like, that guy really, I remember a purple shirt guy with Dwayne Wade. Like, that is fun. But don't be disrespectful. Just be like, you're going to miss that shot or whatever, however you talk trash.
And if there's a physical component, if you touch them at all, you've opened yourself up to it.
Touch them all.
Absolutely.
Step two, like it's a fight, like that. Like Cousins doing the shoulder thing, I was like, that's a little much. You're kind of asking for it.
It's a lot. And him grabbing his balls right in front of that dude, that was a lot too. I mean, there was some.
Everybody was over the line.
Yeah, I hear I'm going to bring you into a past episode. We talked about inappropriate shit that you can say as a fan. Like, where should the line be? And I made some admissions when we threw it to Maxime. He would not tell us. He has something in his past where he literally didn't feel comfortable putting on air what it was he screamed at the player. And so, and I'll put that he didn't tell us, I think made everybody feel like it's the worst fucking possible thing out there. Like, I don't know what people are guessing, but they probably think it's some ugly shit. So he is the guy who, we kind of have an expert amongst us now. Maxime, what's too far, dude? And did you fight that player when whatever it was that it is that you didn't tell? I don't know what it was.
I do think it is too far when you're just tossing a beer on somebody.
Yes.
I'm not sure, because I get the courtside thing, right? Like, I agree. Once you make physical contact or something that you throw makes physical contact, that's too far, And we hear about people coming from the Euro League and being like, yeah, they threw batteries on the court and shit. And that's also why they have, I think, chain link fences up at some of these Greek games, It's almost a different sport because they know that the confrontation would actually happen. I think it's completely unacceptable because that there's 5 guys that are going to hold DeMarcus Cousins back after you throw the beer on them. Like that's just a completely unfair thing. And then we're one step removed from gladiator shit where we're just watching people punch each other for our benefit. It's no, this is not how this actually works. This is another human being who deserves to be able to stand up for themselves. When you throw a fucking beer on their head, I'm out on that.
I agree. I think the physical contact thing is what speaks to me. Last take. I remember when Patrick Beverley, I think it was Russell Westbrook. He hurt Westbrook on a random unnecessary lunge for the ball at the end of the game. Yeah. And he got booed lustily. People hated him. And they asked him afterwards, well, did it impact you, Pat? How'd you feel about the boos? It's I used to play overseas where they would heat up nickels and throw them at me. It's I didn't give a fuck about those boos. And it always struck me oh my God, did they bring welding gloves? How'd you hold the heated nickel before you threw it? Just the passion of those fans got my attention.
The logistics of it is not where my brain went when I heard that quote.
That's all I've been thinking about since. I've been heating up nickels. It hurt my hands. I couldn't throw them.
It's I can't even hold this for 2 seconds.
There's all these things. That's exactly right. How'd they throw it effectively? I couldn't get it, to 1 foot.
Tinfoil? Would tinfoil insulated enough?
See, there you go. 2 seconds in, you've already figured out the logistics better than I have, Wes. Appreciate you. Give us the where we can get more Goldberg.
Check out Real GM Radio. We're going multiple times a week now during the NBA Finals. And then in the offseason, we're going to have a bunch of great content over there for Warriors fans. We'll be talking plenty of Warriors over there, I'm sure. Unless you guys don't do anything, then maybe not. But, yeah, do that.
We'll be doing big things. A lot to talk about. I won't pimp us. Instead, I'll double down on Wes. The work they are doing over there is phenomenal. He is my favorite guest for good reason, and all of the talent he shows here, he shows on all the other platforms. So get out there and enjoy it. With that in mind, go Warriors, and hopefully we'll see you real soon.